Aphrodisiacs are some of the great wonders of the world and spikes curiosity in so many people. A lot of them, however, haven't been fully backed by science, and much more research needs to be done, as most studies tend to be small. Now, even though natural, some tend to have high-risk side effects, so it's important to research them before actually trying them out. Now, I took about a week and a half poring over material, articles, and different studies trying to weed out foods that aren't really aphrodisiacs, but people claim them to be. Now, some are definitely worth trying, but a disclaimer: if you have chronic stress or aren't sleeping, the mind will overpower the effects naturally. Aphrodisiacs can be classified by their mode of action in 3 types: those that increase libido, potency, or sexual pleasure. At the same time, our brains are the largest and most potent sexual organ, and a food's legacy, its cultural associations, shape, and color can actually trigger an arousal. This has come to be known as the placebo effect. Strawberries, chocolate, and raw oysters, for example, have not proven to be effective, but they're still talked about as if they are. Now, when sifting through these studies, I found that the majority of the studies were done on rats or mice. Then, when the studies were conducted on humans, they didn't work on them when in fact they worked on the rats or the mice. So for this reason, the aphrodisiacs mentioned in this video are going to be backed by human studies. Starting with the first one, we have maca root. In the most unfavorable part of the Andes is where this plant grows. Native to Peru, this root vegetable is usually taken in pill form for fertility, arousal, and hot flashes. Now, the nutritional profile is abundant, but what's made it so popular is again the supposed boost in sexual desire. 6 small studies I found were able to back this up. Now, 3 of those were double-blind studies, meaning that subjects were withheld information until after the test, in any case where the information may influence behavior on the tester. This is really good because it eliminates the chance of a placebo effect. Now, some were randomized studies, which are pretty credible, and they included healthy adult men, depressed outpatients, patients on antidepressants, which inhibits libido, cyclist athletes, and men affected by erectile dysfunction or ED. Now, in every single one of these outcomes, maca supplementation always heightened libido. What's interesting is hormones didn't change when measured, but the participants still reported an increased sexual drive. Now, sexual drive is almost always measured by hormones, but maca root seems to have a more indirect effect. The thing about its effects, however, is that it doesn't happen immediately. They found that at 8 weeks, the effects shot up, but at 12 weeks, it kind of stagnated. So this kind of goes to show how our bodies adapt to everything. So I would suggest getting off of it for a couple of weeks in order to get it working again. Also, participants in multiple studies were either given 1.5 grams of maca root or 3 grams. The higher dose always seemed to work, and a lot of them used the word significantly in the results. But to make things even more credible, women who had SSRI-induced sexual drive, which is lower libido caused by medication for people with depression, reported more frequent and more pleasurable sex after taking maca for weeks. And treatment with maca also resulted in men having increased seminal volume and sperm count. And lastly, cyclists traveling 40 kilometers reported not only higher sex drive, but also higher energy as well. Before we go any further, welcome to the Green Lab Coat. My name's Kim, and if you found any value in this video so far, make sure to give it a like to help the algorithm, and subscribe for more videos on health backed by science. Let's continue. Next, black ginger has some promising studies. This study right here investigated the effect of KP extract, Caempharia parviflora, which is a fancy term for black ginger. Now, this was done on elderly men since a decline in erectile function is associated with aging. Now, 45 elderly men were separated into 3 different groups. The first one was the placebo group, the second group took 25 milligrams, and the third group took 90 milligrams once a day for 2 months of black ginger. Now, at 90 milligrams, there was an increase in erectile function. The results of the study were significant, and they basically concluded that black ginger, in fact, has aphrodisiac properties. Third is Panax ginseng. In Chinese culture, it's regarded as a sacred herb that is thought to bring happiness, success, wealth, health, and longevity. Over time, it began being used in Chinese medicine, and this now carries over into Western medicine as well. The belief goes far beyond this, however, and this 2018 meta-analysis may just be the thing to convince you. By obtaining studies that looked into Panax ginseng, maca root, saffron, and tribulus, they found studies with ginseng and maca root to be the most effective on erectile function, while the other two were not. While ginseng scored 140, the test for placebo scored 96. Now, coupling that with Korean red ginseng, which is basically Panax ginseng before it's steamed and dried, 28 women completed the study. They either took 1-gram capsules, taking it 3 times per day, or took the placebo daily. This was a placebo-controlled, double-blind crossover clinical study. It concluded that the placebo group had no effect, while the Korean red ginseng significantly improved sexual desire, arousal, and more. Now, research has found it can also increase sperm count and quality in males. In another small study, 60% of men had reported improvements in erections after taking 900 milligrams 3 times per day. Now, it's important not to confuse this with American ginseng, as the two give very different effects. Now, there is more studies regarding other different aphrodisiacs, but studies were so up and down, and although the ones presented in this video were small, they are more consistent and significant enough for me to present to you guys for you guys to try them out. Now, I have to be honest, this video took me a long time to research. I was beginning to think aphrodisiacs didn't exist, but when digging deeper, I realized the research is there, it's just hard to find. Now, these foods don't come without their side effects. Black ginger can cause heartburn, diarrhea, burping, and stomach discomfort. Panax ginseng can cause diarrhea, insomnia, headaches, hypertension, and in some very rare cases, vaginal bleeding. Korean red ginseng, which you have to remember is pretty much the same thing, but a little bit different. The main trouble with this is sleeping, but sometimes agitation, upset stomach, and menstrual problems. Ginseng definitely has the most side effects, and maca root seems to have the one with the least when taken in moderate doses. When it does, feelings of jitteriness, insomnia, heartburn, acne, and digestive issues. But again, these are very rare, especially with maca root. Now, all of these foods are not to be taken for more than a couple of weeks. Now, people native to the land of where these foods are grown are able to take them in higher doses, but even the majority of people who aren't will be just fine. Now, to top these 3 marvelous foods off, adding 100 milligrams of zinc daily to your diet routine helps your libido long term. Now we're going to take a look into a food you should avoid, and that's milk. Now, milk is a surefire sex drive killer in the long term. 7 men, 6 prepubertal children, which is basically children before they hit puberty, and 5 women were given milk samples. Now, the men and children drank 600 milligrams of cow's milk, while the women drank 500 milligrams. The men and kids had urine samples taken 1 hour before and 4 times every hour after intake, with serum samples also being taken from the men. Now, women on the other hand drank it every single night for 21 days. In the end, it was concluded that estrogen from the milk was absorbed by the men and the children, and that a child's sexual maturity could in fact be affected. Now, I want to include that this includes dairy overall. These products can have added hormones, which will throw off your body's natural production of hormones. Now, the results of the women weren't present, and because this was intentionally done while they were on their menstrual cycles, their bodies could have in fact excreted the hormones. But remember, if you're on birth control and don't have a period, or are a woman on menopause and also don't have a period, we don't have a way to excrete this. Calcium, however, is said to have a libido boosting effect, so definitely get this elsewhere. Now, I'm not saying these foods are going to work on everybody, but again, they're worth trying if you're looking for that desired boost. Now, the most important aphrodisiacs are what's going on around us. That's what really is going to influence our mind. Stress, who our partners are, and the choices we make on a daily basis, and how we react is really what makes our sexual desire and our sexual drive better or worse. These foods are just the cherry on top and something fun to experiment with. Now, I want to hear from you. What aphrodisiacs are you excited to try? Let me know down below, and thanks so much for stopping by. 7 men, 6 prepu. My name's Kim, and if you feel, oh my gosh, okay.